journalist that visited Biafra land.
In Enugu.
In Enugu.
Yeah, he visited Enugu. Yeah.
So, again, a lot of talk about sit at home. Yes, but at the end, PM asked him very poignant questions, including asking him questions about how he obtained visa to travel to Nigeria. As it turned out, his initial visa application was denied, and after which his second application was approved. Now, if you hear me say that, you wouldn't immediately understand what that means. What it means is that because Nigeria didn't thought he would be favorable to Biafra, so they declined his visa application. Through backdoor, Nigeria was assured that he was going to write against Biafra agitation. Then they gave him visa. Now he went to Nigeria, made all these false allegations, including that sit-at-home stopped investment in Biafra land. Now again, you trust our PM, very smart guy, very spontaneous. I haven't seen anybody as spontaneous as PM. So PM asked him, can you name one or two investments that Nigeria made in Biafra land before sit-at-home? This sit-at-home that is stopping investment, that has turned people's life upside down. Can you name one or two investments that Nigeria made in Biafra land before sit-at-home started? He couldn't name any. He couldn't name any. So the witnesses, and he retracted. Okay, like these are people that witnessed in the first trial. Now PM asked him specific questions to know whether he still stood by what he said in the first time. She's reminding me that 2 times he changed from what he said before to what he's saying now. So that alone is self-contradictory. So he begins to yeah, so as per how he got his information, since he's not resident in Nigeria, PM said that he gave this journalist, Father Mbaka's contact, and of course everybody knows Father Mbaka. He's about
with a very important message,
most popular man of God back home, and he didn't contact him, and so that means he's not really looking for the truth, right? So that is significant. Then this evening PM took a stand and narrated our history right from 1860, all the killings, including Onyendu's family killings, including Ojiriva killing, including
massacre,
including Aba, including
NSAS,
all of it, right? So he went through that, and frankly, he has a remarkable retentive memory, right? He was saying all this without looking at anything. So, I mean, PM is a gift. And of course, we have 2 great men, Onyendu for Christ's sake and his son PM. So we should all be happy. We should all be happy. And anyway, just to summarize, PM continued to say all these things with extreme conviction. I don't think anybody in that, any of the judges would be doubting the authenticity of what he was saying. And then every now and then he projected his questions and remarks at the prosecutor. And you know what? He started by saying that the prosecutor would render an apology to him, and that the prosecutor at the end of this trial will see that Nigeria scammed him.
Yes.
Right? He's a victim of Nigeria's scam.
Yes.
That's what he said. So, and we are hoping that by the time this trial is ended, again, one thing is clear. They don't want to look at the evidence. All these gory killings, people being throats being slit, or even heads being cut off, this court doesn't want to see that. But I'm telling them that these are images our people, old, young, children are subjected to. So if finished adults are not willing to look at them, why not toss out this case? Why not say you don't have jurisdiction? Because if you cannot watch the crimes we are facing every day, why are you dealing with our case? So it's another reason why they don't have jurisdiction on this case. This is just basic, you know. And then English too, sometimes the translation, it can be screwed up. And, you know, above all, we don't have problem with Finland. This case is between us, the jihadists, and Nigeria government. Why are they not here? Is this not a case of selective justice? If there are multiple parties to a case, and you are trying only one person, I mean, anyway, we are hoping that Finland will retrace their path, their step, and do the right thing, dismiss these cases, apologize to our PM, and pay him compensation, and recognize our right to self-determination.
Investigation has begun in Finland as I'm speaking with you, because the court and the judge have told the Nigerian prosecutor to apologize to Simon Ekpa, and this has caused big celebration in Finland against Simon Ekpa's freedom, and he has even is preparing his discharge order of discharge certificate for Simon Ekpa as I'm speaking with you. Asorok, I'm big panic. What's your take as regards the judge telling the prosecutor to apologize to Simon Ekpa? I said Simon Ekpa is carrying the scar of Nigeria. What's your take?
We know that right from the beginning there's no evidence against Simon Ekpa, and we keep on shouting it, we keep on repeating it, that it was a manipulated process that the Tinubu government want to achieve, you know. And of course, what the Northerners and the Fulanis intend to achieve to silence, you know, the likes of resistant voices like Simon Ekpa and Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. But, you know, they have finally nailed themselves on the cross by going to that extent. The reinforcement we are seeing from the side of Simon Ekpa, you know, shocks the whole world, because at this point in time, a lot of people are involved, and that's why you see Nigeria government are paying proxies. Proxies. Imagine, you know, a situation that they map out billions of dollars just to pay a certain people to come to court that does not know the history of Nigeria, that does not understand the history. They went there and disgraced themselves. I would have always said that, you know, Nigeria will end up in disgrace. You know, yes, they might feel that yes, because Alexander Stubb at this moment now is silent, because he knows anything he says now will be used against him in the ICC, International Criminal Court. Look at what is happening around the world now. You know, the US is trying to change every leadership, the more institutional leadership across the world. The FBI, the CIA, the ICC, they are all experiencing leadership change. So I see Alexander Stubb knows that, you know, anything he makes him, then they will tell him, say, Mr. Man, it's okay. You know, yes, and Simon Ekpa's case has exposed that he is actually does not understand the international law.
But do you think people will now look at Finland as a corrupt nation now? Or
of course, the tag is already there, and unfortunately, Nigeria blacklisted such a fine country, Finland, you know, that just got their independence from, you know, Russia. So you can see, you know, Nigeria has contaminated Finland. That's what it means, you know. The contamination is a very serious virus. I don't know how Finland tend to, you know, look for a vaccine that is going to, you know, heal them from this virus, they decided to, everywhere in Abuja is thinking. Everybody is running up and down in Aso Rock now. Second, Ekpa coming, what are we going to do? And already they are not settled. They are facing international pressure, consequences of what is going to happen tomorrow. That's the tomorrow. So we are giving a pre-event, court case analysis of what is going to happen tomorrow. So everybody should be, brace up, for either do or die result at the end of the day. But for what we are hearing at the moment, Ekpa seems to be very, very optimistic that victory is going to be his own case at the end of the day. But let me tell you what is going to happen to Nigeria at the end of the day. After spending billions in lobbying Finnish government over the issue of what is on ground, so Ekpa came up and gave them tutelage, two-thirds, schooled in the entire federal government, independent of EU judges, EU government, embarrassed them. And you can see that they said, Nigeria is a scam. That Ekpa is a victim of Nigeria scam. Is a victim of Nigeria scam. So I don't know how Bola Tinubu intend to defend that at the end of the day, because it has become an embarrassment. I can tell you, as at this moment, more people are landing in Helsinki Airport ahead of celebration that is likely going to take place in Finland tomorrow. What I'm trying to tell you is this: nobody can bring you this detailed information of what transpired in court today and what we are expecting to take place tomorrow. It is going to be an exciting moment. One, all the witnesses that we have brought could not be able to defend their exhibit, what they brought, their evidence before the competent court of Finland.
It was even reported that they had to, they were, when they came last year, that what they said today was different from what they said last time when they came last year. Do you not think they've indicted themselves?
I think, unfortunately for them, the federal government of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, and his likes did not see this thing coming. I think they thought, the EU would not be interested. It's just going to be between Simon Ekpa and Finland government and Nigeria. But you can see the entire 27 nations are involved. So electing 27 judges of all the, because this is not AU, this is not ECOWAS, this is not West Africa judges and chambers of commerce and lawyers and rubbish they call themselves. Okay, we are talking about EU nations, because the violation is that Alexander Stubb compromised the international law just for oil and gas contracts. It's embarrassing to the Finnish government and to the EU nations. And Nigeria cannot be able to, remove that shame from themselves. What they did now was to go behind and pay proxies, cover their faces, because they cannot appear physical. Don't we have Attorney General in Nigeria? Why didn't him go there? And why didn't Nigeria send their lawyers, all their lawyers and judiciary to, and see what will happen to them? They've already done ambush for them, waiting for them, but unfortunately, they didn't come. What they did was now to pay proxies, and then unfortunately, those proxies came to court and messed up everything. Meaning that Simon Ekpa himself, at the end of the day, turned lecturer in the courts and lectured both the Finnish judge and Nigerian prosecutors.
No, not even lecture alone. They said he exposed the likes of Wike, as regards the Igbo killing in Port Harcourt. Even talked about the ensigns, exposed Tinubu and Buhari. He said so many things, and one of the things that caught attention there in Finland was when Ekpa shot the prosecutor. When the prosecutor said that Ekpa started sit at home, that even despite the fact that the Tinubu and the APC-led government have developed the Southeast, then Ekpa asked the prosecutor, and he told him that he should name a special development that the APC government have done in the southeast, but the prosecutor could not do anything. But do you not think that, just like we've said, do you think that a lot of Tinubu, Bianca should be apologizing to Simon Ekpa? Do you think Ekpa will forgive them?
No, you see, that is a correct fact, because Ekpa has continued in his defense, and you can see the allegation. They brought the issue of sit at home. Then Ekpa referred them to people who has been before him, who have also engaged in agitation, and of course, freedom fighting. Mahatma Gandhi, George Washington of America, and so many of them like that. Nelson Mandela and the rest of them. They use passive, solidarity. That's what they call it. And sit at home was part of it. You appeal to people. They decided, okay, this cause is what it is. Non-violent. Then how can people who sit at home started killing themselves? Is it possible? So they cannot be able to answer that question. And the most important thing in where the judge himself has concluded on this matter and called the process that Ekpa is a victim of Nigeria scam is that Ekpa took a rundown since 1914, how pogrom 1943, 63, 1967, 80 something. Look at the number of years that the Biafrans and the Igbos have been massacred in Nigeria. So that was a big surprise to the Finnish government, because most of those nations do not actually understand what is happening in Nigeria, because the Nigerian media intentionally covered it up. Okay, now who is talking about what is happening in Middle Belt? Nobody is talking about what is happening in Middle Belt in the international scene, but the Nigerian media covers it. Few days ago, you can see the level of massacre in Plateau. So you see that now this thing has been brought to the EU, the table of EU nations, not only to right there in their courts. So I don't know how they are going to compromise that, with all eyes on Lati, Finland Court. All eyes are watching what is. Well, Ekpa has concluded his defense today, and we are expecting a pronouncement of the judgment. But from what I'm hearing, when they say that he's a victim of scam, then what is going to come out with tomorrow. Like the video you have watched, they gave you an in-depth analysis of what actually transpired in the court and how the whole thing, played out. Optimistic, though the Nigerian government is still battling on that direction to see how they are going to, beg. Wike is also mentioned. Wike, I think the victory there is the Obibo factor. Where Wike, because of a national protest, against police brutality, Wike now use that opportunity to massacre a lot of Igbos in Port Harcourt. Bibo. It was also, exposed there. That means, Simon Ekpa exposed Wike, exposed the atrocities of the criminality of Nigerian government, how they decided the jihadists, Boko Haram, to kill Christians in Nigeria. And of course, it has become an EU issue now. But I don't see how the judgment is going to, manipulate or try to divert or escape or maneuver the already evidence. And remember, Simon Ekpa was able to put this in very clear without looking at any reference book or whatever at the end of the day. So it is a good one, and we're expecting that updates, just watch update on this platform over Ekpa's victory tomorrow, possibly discharged and acquitted.